Hello, everybody. Hey, this is Ken Faulkner, and we're moving along. We got this version of the Faulkner 5, the 2025 Atlanta Blade Show version of the 2025, also perhaps known as the premium version of the Faulkner 5, because these are definitely high-end knives, kept in my most premium case, all that stuff, and I'm carrying them. And yeah, so we're up to number 4, and this is next week, so that's why we got them all together here out on the table. We'll do like a whole kind of wrap up at the end of next week, and you know, either when we're talking about 5, or probably we'll just do it all in one big video. So let's move these guys to the side, 1, 2, and 3, and we will talk about, and we'll move number 5 over to the side for now, and we will talk about number 4, which is the Mac 2. So yes, this is McNees Knives is the Mac 2, and yes, I can get it flicked open. It does have a pretty strong detent. I don't know if it's typical, indicative of all of the Mac 2s. I've seen some videos on them. Some people say that, yeah, it does have a pretty strong detent. And I did mention going into this that I did like the strong detent, and I do. This week has been interesting. When I bought this knife, I was super hyped up about it. I was really excited about it. I was, there was so much buzz about McNees and this knife, and how you'd go to Blade Show and those people that are sleeping overnight in line trying to get to the tables of certain knife companies, and this is like one of the ones that they were going after, and they were getting bought up real quick and all that kind of thing. So there was like a lot of excitement about that. I mean, when you see, I mean, looking at the knife, just look at this knife. It is really nice in my eyes, aesthetically. It's basic. The clip's not anything super fancy. Very basic style. I know they have some with more milling in the handles, and you can also get it with some laser etching as well. But this one's definitely very basic. But when you look at it really close, and you look at the acid wash on it, it's just very nice. And this one's kind of got a green tinge to the titanium, which is kind of cool. I like this look. I like the look of this knife. It's kind of almost monochromish sort of thing, but there's a subtle difference between the blade and the handle. And yeah, and then the design is kind of a basic draw point. It's interesting in that the blade to handle ratio, and I'd heard that before I got the knife, is very equal. You're getting a lot of blade for this size handle. So now that I've had the knife and I've carried it more, for one thing, as I started the week, I was definitely from time to time struggling with getting it open, and I was hoping, and it has happened, that it'll break in after use. And I've definitely had more use in this week than I have since I bought it, because it hasn't been in the collection that long. So it's really starting to get that break in. It's actually good at this point. I still miss it some especially on the thumb, and every once in a while on the reverse flick, especially the first one. If it's been sitting around for a while and you pick it up and you try to reverse flick it, that first one's a little bit harder for some reason, unless it's just my imagination. I don't know. I had that experience on another knife. So what happened was, when I was carrying this knife, I decided to kind of compare it to a couple other knives that it made me think about when I was carrying it. One of them was the Chavez. This is the Redention Street. And the other one is the XM18 from Hinderer. And I'll explain kind of why. And the Chavez is definitely related to the detent because I know I've heard enough about Chavez knives and people that have owned them that they tend to have a pretty strong detent. And this 229, I mean not 229, sorry, Redention Street, it had a very strong detent, much like the McNees when I first got it, to the point where it was like almost painful to flick it out, to get your finger underneath there and flick it out. This one is even a little bit more broken in, so potentially the McNees may go that way. I don't know. We'll see as time goes on. You can see they're similar in size. The handle for the Street, Redention Street, is almost totally identical in size as far as the length of it. But you can see the blade has a little bit, just a little bit more, maybe a quarter of an inch, maybe less. Very, very close. So this McNees is, from my experience, from my collection, probably got the most blade for the handle. And you can kind of see why. The tip of this thing comes all the way out to the end of the handle. And not only that, with the shape of the handle and the way it comes out like this, the tip is at the longest part of the handle as well. And therefore, you get more blade. Now, with this one here, it's down in back behind this backspacer. And so it's a little bit lower. And you can see a little bit more room there. And it's definitely covered up, so you don't have to worry about peak. I haven't noticed any kind of peak here. Can't touch the tip on here. So it's got enough room. So if you put them like this, they're pretty close. But you can also see when you do this that the I don't know what you call this, the lock face, basically, because it is a frame lock, is all the way up here, where this one is back further. So that must be something to do with it. I think pivot to pivot, the handles are basically the same. So it's not so much there, but there's a little bit more at the lock face. I'm not sure exactly how that all works out. But anyway, it is what it is. It's a thing. And so, yeah, I carry these together just to kind of feel the detent, and I love the detent on this Street, Redention Street. It's just so snappy, even though it is a little bit challenging at times. You know, it's you really got to give it some push, and you got to get your fingernail behind it. And try to push it with your thumb, with the meat of your thumb, and you can get it with this knife, but it's gonna be a little bit more painful. So if you get your thumbnail underneath there, definitely less painful, and it's easier to do. So that was the comparison there. So we'll put this over to the side for a second. Now, as far as the XM18, these are both 3.5-inch bladed knives, so the blade lengths are the same. So, and this is another one that I had wanted for so long. So a similar amount of buzz and excitement about the design and the knife itself, and at the same time, they have the same length blade. But then you can see the handle on the XM18 is definitely longer, much longer. So your blade to handle ratio is a little bit off. When I say off, it's only if you're trying to maximize. I don't see, when I look at this knife, I don't say, oh man, that blade is just way too short for that handle. I think this is more the normal. I feel like this is more the normal. And even the Redention is more the normal as far as blade to handle ratio. They don't look off, like the blade is just way too short for that handle. Some knives you see that, and that's where people get frustrated. But this one, like I say, is maximizing. Now, because of that, what ends up happening here for me is my hand, it fits on here perfectly. It's like it's got the perfect length, and I don't really have a problem. I can even kind of choke back a little bit here so that my index finger goes into this finger groove here, and it feels good in my hand, and my pinky's not sliding off. And it's because you get that ramp up that kind of helps push the pinky this way instead of letting it slide off. So even back here, it's not falling off at all. I still have a good grip, but it does feel like, oh man, I'm almost running out of handle length when I'm gripping this thing. It just feels a little bit on the smaller side for me. Handles are very important for me, and so I kind of think that it's more because you can kind of choke up and get the middle finger kind of in that finger well in here, and then you got plenty of handle, no problem, and plenty of blade because it doesn't have that finger choil, so that actually adds to your cutting edge. So yeah, that feels more comfortable to me. Back here, it feels like kind of like losing handle almost, even though that pinky is still on there. You know, maybe it has to do with where the butt of the knife goes. Kind of similar with this street version. There's the Redemption Street version, and then there's the full-size Redemption. I guess that's what they call it. But I remember when I got this one, you know, I wasn't really comfortable with buying the full size because it was a little bit more expensive. I got this one at a good price, and I decided to go for it because I really wanted a Chavez really bad, but it's always been a bit on the small side. It's more like an EDC size knife for me. I consider this more of an EDC size. I think the blade length on this is 3" as opposed to the 3.5. Let's take a look real quick and see if I'm right. Yeah, it's about 3.25 actually. So that's not bad really. But the handle is still, my hand is totally on it. It slopes up in the back, so it kind of keeps it from falling, fingers from falling off. You can choke up a little bit on this one if you want to, but obviously that's not a full finger choil. But it is a 1/4 inch shorter, okay, on the blade. So, yeah, both of those are similar in that way. And that's kind of why I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison on it. I really have found with this Faulkner 5 that I've really been kind of getting a little deeper into the knives. I don't know if it's because more experience with knives, more time talking to you guys about knives. Maybe I'm just kind of more into like the details. A couple other things here. So one thing I noticed when I was opening and closing it is it's definitely solid, no movement, but it kind of almost felt like there's a little bit of a rattle. You know how sometimes you hit your knife and you get kind of a rattle? I even took off the clip and kind of bent it down, trying to, because you can kind of hear it if you do that. But I thought maybe that would change it, and it's still, it's almost like I can't really pinpoint what it is, but there's like a little bit of that feeling. And when you close it, it has more of a, almost like a tinny kind of sound. I don't know if I can explain it. So it's not exactly, slight difference. Maybe it's more of a feel thing than a hearing thing. You can tell me. This just sounds a little bit more of a solid click. Maybe I'm just hallucinating things. And then this similar thing here, it just sounds real solid when it closes. It feels solid. And I'm looking at the knife and trying to figure this out. And I think what it is, I tightened everything up. I made sure everything was tight. I think it has to do with the fact that there's this length here towards the back that is not, it's got the standoff right here, and there's like a long length of, titanium. You can almost hear it. Can you hear that? Whereas this has more of a full backspacer, so there's more contact and less of that sound. And the XM18 just has more standoffs. It does have length, but it also has more standoffs attaching it together. I mean, this does have two, and I'm not making this like a negative kind of thing. I'm just saying it's just something I observed. Maybe it's the combination of this clip and the way it is, although it's similar to this one. Obviously not the same as the Chavez clip, but yeah, I don't know. It's just maybe it's just because it's got those two backspacers back here. Another thing about this is that there is a lot of milling in there, a lot. So there is a lot of effort put even on the lock side, not behind the lock bar itself, but on this side of the lock bar, you know, above the lock bar, you can see there's a lot of pockets in there to make it thinner. So maybe that's what it is. You know, it's not a deal breaker, guys. It's not. I still love this knife, but I just kind of got into like the depths of it while I was carrying it. So, you know, obviously, this knife is 3.5-inch blade, but it does have that more of a finger choil. So you're losing a little bit of, actually a decent amount of your cutting length to the point where it's less than 3.25 of cutting, more like 3.125. And this one definitely gives you that full 3.5. And the tip on it is quite high. And the belly on it is kind of interesting. I'm used to having more of a pointy tip, but the belly comes down pretty quick, pretty abruptly. And so rather than with this one having that more of a piercing type tip, this is more belly up right at the very front of the knife. So these are all my observations. Take it for what you will. I still love the knife. I still think it's a great knife. And I love it more now that I've carried it and gotten it broken in quite a bit. And the jimping is still awesome. In the pocket's great. Lockup is really good. Everything is really, really nice. I love the look. So there's just a couple little things that were just kind of bugging me, and I was kind of looking at it. One last thing before we go. The thumb studs. Now, this is something that I would say could be improved. The thumb studs on this are round. Well, they're all round. Okay. They're round, but they're also filleted, like rounded off on the edges. Whereas, I don't think I can get it to stand up like that. Whereas on the Chavez, you got these, it's almost like jimping on there. It's got these rings that it's got in here and more of a sharp corner. So when I go here, I feel it grabbing my finger. When I go here, maybe I'll do it this way to be safer. I don't feel it grabbing my finger. I feel my finger slipping off. And then also, yeah, I can do that now. Also with the hinder, it's got that kind of, what do you call that? Concentric circles that come in like a pyramid, that pyramid kind of shape. But also this one is sharper and more grabby. So it's almost like jimping. It kind of works almost like jimping here and here, whereas this one is more smooth all the way around. It does have that one little ring in there, but you don't really feel it when you're actuating it. You don't really quite get it because your fingernail doesn't make any contact at that point. It's really at this corner, and it's where it's rounded off. So also the amount of space underneath. So when I'm flicking this, I'm kind of coming up from behind. You can't really get underneath it so much. You do really kind of want to push it up anyway, so it's not that bad. But on this side, it's even less access. And then there's the chance of when you're doing the middle finger flick, you really got to be careful that you don't put pressure on the lock bar because that's just going to add to your detent. So seemed like there could be a little bit more grippiness on that thumb stud, and there could be maybe a little more access underneath the thumb studs in order to help out with defeating that. And look at this one. This one's got plenty of room, and it also has that little milled out section right here. So you really, I could even hit this one with the meat of my thumb, and it goes out no problem. Not quite as strong of a detent, but certainly a very strong detent with the hinderer. So that's it, guys. That's all the things, the thoughts that I had on this knife. Still really, really like it a lot. I think it's a great design. It's pretty lightweight. I'd say it's even lighter than the Chavez, and certainly lighter than the hinderer. So if you do like the lightweight, if you like a strong detent, if you like a challenge for flicking out your knife with the, and there is no flipper tab, so it's not like you have that option. I mean, you do have that here, but there is no option for that, which is fine with me because that's not, that's like the last resort for opening up a knife for me. And I have managed to pull it off, and it feels good now with all that. Definitely solid, 100% solid, nice. Everything. Pocket clip works great. Everything. I can definitely, if I'm not thinking about it, I don't notice any of that rattly kind of feeling. It's only if I'm like really got it under the microscope, if you know what I mean. Hope this all makes sense. Hope nobody thinks that I am bad-mouthing this knife because I love it. And but there's things that I feel like, observations. That's what this is all about. Carrying it for a whole week, I really get to know the knife better. And, for me, I like it. I really like this knife, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. But now we're moving on to the Slish Buoy. And this one is also, this is going to be interesting because there is some difficulty with opening this one as well. We'll probably be talking about that at the end of the week. But I haven't had this one very long, and I'm excited to be able to carry it all week long because I haven't had as much time in the pocket with this one. I really want to get to know it and really examine if I see anything about it that I need to comment on. So next week, stay tuned, and we'll see what happens with that one. And then we'll be done with the Faulkner 5. A few more days after that, Blade Show. So I'm super excited. And then, of course, we got lots of new knives coming from Blade Show. Unless something crazy happens between now and then, I'll be buying a lot of knives. I got one more big collection video, and this one's going to be a slightly shorter one than I've been doing the last couple ones. One more collection video. I've already thought about what I want to do with it. And then after that, I'll probably do some, individual knives from the collection next week. We're just getting through until the buying frenzy begins. All right, guys. You guys have a good one, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.